Nothing's a given. Every one of these summit meetings can have surprises. I think that's, again, the working assumption that there will be a truce on further tariffs, further trade-related actions, and the negotiators will get back to the table. But again, anything can happen. You never have 100% certainty going into meetings with stakes as high as the stakes for this meeting.
I mean, we've been talking, Rufus, so much about if things don't go well and the risk that could pose to the markets. And we know what the Trump move would be, right? He's got $300 billion in imports that he could put tariffs on. What would the Chinese move be?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think Wendy's right. Don't take anything for granted. It was a few months ago everybody was predicting that a deal was in the bag. And now I think, there's three different possible outcomes from this meeting. Either a complete breakdown. I think that's probably unlikely, but if there is, it'll be an escalation of tariffs. The second option, of course, is that they get some kind of a real breakthrough. That's beginning to look less and less likely. So the most likely option is some kind of effort to restart talks, kick the can down the road, some face saving on both sides. Given each side's bottom line, it's going to be difficult to do that, but that's probably the best outcome. If we don't have that, if we have, tariffs going into place, this extra $300 billion, 25% on $300 billion, that's really going to create turmoil for a lot of U.S. businesses. The Chinese is the question you asked, what will the Chinese do? The Chinese reaction is going to be probably on a pretty broad front. They don't have many more tariffs to increase on U.S. exports, but they have a lot of other levers to pull, and they probably will do so.
Rufus, you're in the camp that you'd like to see the power to control tariffs taken away from the president. Is that right?
Not taken away from the president. No, we've been advocating some kind of sensible reform, and that really isn't. I mean, it is related to the China dispute, but it's also much more related to these national security tariffs that have been used against countries all over the world, including our best allies, Europe and Canada and Mexico and Japan, on steel and aluminum for national security reasons. We think that the president has been much too willing to use tariffs for all kinds of non-trade related reasons where they aren't really justified. And what we're asking for is Congress to assert its control and authority. The Constitution gives them the authority. We're not saying take it away from the president, but we need a congressional review process that means something so that these authorities are used in a more appropriate manner.
Wendy, I wonder how you analyze how the Chinese are walking into these discussions with the threat of more tariffs and, as we've written and we have been reporting and others, this new nationalistic tone, really ever since the talks broke down, the showing of the Korean War, anti-American type sentiment on state media, the fact that the editorials have gotten much more hardline against the United States and China standing firm. How does that position Xi to go into this Trump talks?
Yeah, well, I think Xi is going to be under a lot of pressure in these meetings. On one hand, the Chinese economy, regardless of all these tariffs, has been suffering some setbacks, some slowdown, and these tariffs have been exacerbating their economic woes. And then you combine with it the fact that a lot of hardliners in China now are questioning kind of some of the concessions that perhaps were made to the U.S. in the negotiations before they broke down. So I think President Xi wants a deal, but not at any cost. And, that's going to be the question. I also think that we should expect that he will ask President